Welcome to Political Paradigm. I'm Terry Kumi. Well, campaigns have officially commenced. That means we'll have a lot more political conversations on the program. Today I'm sitting with a senator representing the FCT, Senator Ireti Kingibe. And for those who followed recent developments in the FCT, you'll understand why it's become important to sit with Senator Ireti Kingibe. But first, take a listen to this.
Senate President, distinguished colleagues, I wish to address this assembly in its constitutional capacity as the State Assembly of the Federal Capital Territory. Grave failure of waste management and sewage services in the Federal Capital Territory and the rampant desecration of designated green areas and the alleged unlawful seizure of land belonging to Buhari Hospital and other public institutions recalls the provisions of the FCT Act 1976 mandating strict adherence to the Abuja Master Plan, the Nazria Act 2007 empowering enforcement of environmental and sanitation standards, the Abuja Environmental Protection Board Establishment Act mandating waste and sewage management, the Environmental Impact Assessment Act 1992, the National Health Act 2014 safeguarding public health, the Land Use Act 1978 protecting land held in the public interest, particularly for health and education, demand that the FCT Minister and the Federal Capital Development Authority FCDA immediately cease and desist from all revocations, reallocations, demolitions, and alterations affecting designated green areas, pending a comprehensive audit and a strict compliance review with the Abuja Master Plan.
Well, it became important to play that clip considering the recent unusual floodings in the heart of the Federal Capital Territory. Anyways, here's my chat with the senator representing the Federal Capital Territory, Senator Ireti Kingibe. Senator Kingibe, I'd like to thank you very much for coming to speak with me again on Political Paradigm.
Thank you for having me.
And considering the video we've just watched of you moving your motion, I'm sure you might feel a bit frustrated. That's one of those I told you so moments, considering that you had moved that motion about a year ago. And here we are facing floods in the FCT.
Well, actually, I moved it in December, actually on December 17th, 2025 was when I moved that motion. I remember it specifically because I had to search for the date that was on the motion. And yes, I've said many things, but more importantly, I'm pained by the fact that these things were clear from the beginning. And I am frustrated because the minister said, I have no business with the master plan. He's the one they are the ones that have the master plan. The truth of the matter is that the master plan is a public document that I have had in my possession long before he came to the FCT. And also, in interacting with several ministers, as I have done long before I became a senator, I knew the purpose and the use of those green areas. Even when it's allocated, they stress the fact that you cannot put any permanent structure on it. That's why you only see tents on them or just chairs and people sitting around and eating, never permanent things. Because even a year before that, I also stressed in the Senate in a motion that I brought when he wanted to take over an estate. I brought up the green areas again, explaining that all the services go through there. Our water, our sewage, our electricity, then also right of way for Abuja mass transit that was planned, part of the plan. They're all gone. Now, that's not an issue. They can always be restored. Once there's a will, there's a way. At that time, the Senate ruled. They accepted the motion of a subcommittee to look into it. Also, but those were part of my prayers, which the Senate accepted, that the minister must stop all revocations and demolitions until that subcommittee, the ad hoc committee, has reviewed. I must say, to date, I'm not aware that that ad hoc committee ever sat. And the minister continued demolishing as if the National Assembly, the Senate, never spoke. I tried to draw the attention of the Senate to the fact that because there's a compliance, legislative compliance unit that's supposed to ensure that whatever we say is complied with. They said, talk to them. I did. Nobody answered me. Talk to the members of the committee. They said, well, and it's good to note that the chairman of that committee is the same one you saw in December, the Deputy Senate President, who was saying that Wike is the best thing that's ever happened to Abuja. And even after I knew the motion would not be, because everything that has to do with FCT is pushed under the carpet, I'm sorry to say, with all due respect to the Senate, of which I'm a member. We're supposed to oversight him. We're supposed to approve. And I have brought to the attention of the leadership of the Senate that FCT is borrowing money. I have never seen Wike come to the National Assembly to come before the Senate to ask for approval of anything. So it means all the money is borrowed.
Just the budget?
Just the budget. And the budget, that's it. He comes, the committee, FCT committee, and that's the only time it ever sits. Will now, at the committee meeting, approve the budget, then the Senate approves it overall. Finish.
Are you saying that he's been taking loans without approval by the Senate?
I am definitely saying he's been taking loans without the approval of the National Assembly. I don't know about the House, but certainly not the Senate. Now, why do I know that? I was reading somewhere. Debt Management Office has those loans taken from August 2023 to March 2026. I know that Wike has never, if anybody contradicts me, they should bring the votes and proceedings of the day that Wike came to the National Assembly to ask for approval for anything. The president from whom he derives his powers brings his request for loans, appointments, everything. And Wike's powers cannot be more than the powers from which he derives his own. So it pains me to come and say this about the Senate, but I see also what FCT people are actually going through. These floods, this is our new reality, unless certain things are done. And yes, I know the minister is running around, he's doing this, he's doing that. If he's really sincere, Jabi Park is right there. He will revert it to a park. There are many, many green areas that he can easily return to their original condition. I went somewhere in Asokoro yesterday or day before, where the person I went to see was complaining that there's a stream running right next to his house, and Wike is sand filling the stream. And what do you think will happen to the water when the rains come? And all the sand filling it is to build on top of the stream. I do not understand why he thinks Abuja has been here all these years and all these green areas exist. They're not just decoration.
The thing which I just want us to quickly, before we come to the issue, conclude on the issue of the flooding, because it's a big deal. You had mentioned the issue of the funding and the loans. The FCT minister has done quite a number of projects in the FCT. And you've just talked about loans without approval. You also talked about what you found from the debt management office. Could you be a little more detailed as to what you found from the debt management office?
When in August 2023, Abuja's debt was at 88.5 billion. By March 2026, it had become 389 billion. A difference of 301.37 billion, which is like 340% increase. Now, my concern, loans are not necessarily bad things. But where did the approval come from? Who gave the approval? Do you understand what I'm saying?
The process for approval has to be the General House.
Yes.
Not the committee. Because I was going to ask if it was possible.
No. It's not the committee. It's the Senate. Just like the president, when he wants a loan, he writes to the Senate and says, the National Assembly is the state assembly for FCT. Just like he claims he's the governor of FCT, and he has been a governor. Even if his state assembly is a rubber stamp one, he still goes to it. He doesn't just do things without any recourse to the approving and oversight body. Now, these loans have made Abuja the second highest indebted subnational, from being one of the lowest. Now, let's talk about what the loans were. At what rates were the loans gotten? What are the conditions? What do we pay back? What facility? Interest rates? All those things. Only he knows.
Now, the issue of flooding, since the increase in floods in FCT, I would say increase because they had certain areas outskirts that were flooding.
Yes, like Lokogoma has always had an issue.
But when we have floods in Maitama, and we'll say too, it's unusual.
Good.
In the FCT.
And the Yakubu Gone that the minister says that's now turned into a permanent stream, that has always been like that. We all live in Abuja. Asokoro, Maitama, we say Tugarki.
We're not flooded.
They don't flood. It's one of the things we boast about. That no matter how heavy the rainfall, give 20 minutes and our streets are all dry.
So on that, the minister has taken certain actions. He's now begun demolitions. Have you followed these demolitions? Do you think that he is making the right move in demolishing some of these properties that he believes are built on waterways?
I have followed them, and I see that he's demolishing the smaller, inconsequential buildings. The bigger, more well-to-do ones, or the ones that they haven't really properly built on. The bigger, well-to-do ones, I see he bypasses them and goes to the next place to demolish one little place. So why did he leave the big building?
So two things. If you'd be more specific on what he's bypassing, and the second thing is, if you would speak to whether or not those little demolitions he's doing are going to have an impact on the flooding.
Well, I don't believe so. Because I can tell you for certain that Abuja's green area has reduced by like 40%. If the minister is really sincere, he would go to places like Zone 6 and demolish that, because that was a park was a green area that's now built on a sewage line, that all the residents of that place, I even have the complaint about how the whole place, because of the building that's on the sewage line, the place is all stinking all the time. A particular resident told me that she has to wear a mask the whole time, and those were some of the more beautiful areas of Abuja. Jabi Park, he just starting to build on it. If really the minister is sincere, he will restore Jabi Park. Do you understand? As well as several other smaller green areas. I'm doing an audit. I've asked a lot of people because I alone cannot go through. I am going to bring, by the time we go back on the 15th, I will bring a comprehensive list to the National Assembly to say, this is the last time that just for the record, the master plan cannot be redesigned except by an act of the National Assembly.
Okay, I was going to go there because the minister has always insisted that government has the right to change the master plan.
They can, but you have to bring it to the National Assembly to change it. You can't just unilaterally sit in your office and, there are places.
Can the president give approval for it?
Perhaps. I have to be sure about that. Do you understand? Now, for instance, ministers way before him, especially in the military era, redesigned the master plan, but they didn't have a National Assembly to take it to. Do you understand? So I know that some areas had been redesigned, but not, perhaps, maybe, El-Rufai may have, but I don't think he did. I think he just restored the master plan as he found it.
Right. You mentioned Jabi Lake Park, and the minister has insisted that the place was a mess, and that's why he's taking over the place. But I want to ask you, as a senator representing the FCT, do you know what's been built on Jabi Park, at the Jabi Park?
Some kind of commercial, a solid structure, like a residential building, and maybe some commercial structures. Not specifically, but there's construction going on it. If the park was a mess, the thing to do would be to beautify it, plant more trees, make it more beautiful. It will not be to turn it into a residential or a commercial area. Do you understand my point? Now, I can also tell you several places that have been turned. For instance, Abuja used to have a nursery from where all these parks were fed. The nursery has been built on. It's a green area, obviously, and quite a lot of it. So my point is, all these things do not point to me. I mean, yes, I'm a critic of the minister, but I'm only a critic of the minister in the interest of the people of the FCT. I have nothing personal against him. I do not even know him. I've never sat with him the way I'm sitting with you. I have no clue about who he is, just as he has no clue about who I am. He says he will not allow me to return in 2027. The only people who are in charge of whether I return 2027 is God and the people of the FCT. But he insists on denigrating INEC by acting like the final decision, whether whatever the people say or don't say, rests with him. It's amazing how he doesn't see that this is an insult on the institution of INEC. And even the presidency, who is they're trying to conduct free and fair elections.
You know, the things you say now points to a level of agitation for the people of the FCT. But how then do you respond to people who say that you're just playing politics with all these? You're just not seeing anything good in what the FCT minister is doing, especially because since this administration, the minister of the FCT has completed and commissioned about 50 projects.
Yes, at what cost? A lot of them were moribund projects. Tell me, some of them from even this last administration, and the price increases 300-400%. Come on, guys. At what cost? I don't denigrate these projects. I am saying that at the end of the day, every minister goes, and that's why we've been agitating for a mayor who is elected by the people and accountable to the people. Do you understand? Ministers are not. They're accountable only to one man, and they don't care what about the people. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Let's assume you're a mayor. No water, no drugs in the hospital, everything costs 3-4 times, a lot of things. You think the people are going to re-elect you back as mayor when all the schools in FCT, now there are lots of LEA schools where children are sitting on the floor. There are no roofs. Come on. I'm not criticizing the minister. I didn't know who was going to be made minister. But I had a shopping list for whoever came as minister. Oh, and the truth is that the last budget that I was present at, 2.2 trillion. Even if it's 500 billion that you used for social services, FCT will thank the president and love the minister.
So that is missing, I believe, social services.
Social services. Even in the budget that I commended, which was 1.7, and I commended it because it had a capital projects of about 70%, overheads and personnel under 30%. On paper, it's a good budget. Do you understand what I'm saying? But even then, it's recorded. I did mention that I had issues in how the money was being distributed. But maybe the minister might want us to talk about the issues in private as opposed to televised. He tells me I run to the television every time. And at the end of the day, most of the things, whether he acknowledges it or not, I am the senator elected by the people. So when I bring things to his attention, he insults me the next day, and on the third day he does them.
Of the 50 projects that have been completed and commissioned by this administration and the FCT, majority of them, and I mean a large majority of them, are road projects. So do you think that this administration is prioritizing appropriately? Because whether you like it or not, the people of the FCT are sort of appreciative of the expanded road network of the FCT. But when you talk about healthcare, education, and other social services, what is missing?
Let me also tell you something. The people of the FCT, yes, you build a road and you take 35 kilometers of all the land on the road that belong to the people of the FCT. Yeah, they see the road, but they also feel the pain of the land you're taking. The people of Galadimawa complained to me that land allocated for the general hospital has also been taken over by the minister, reallocated for something else. How do you expect people to feel? Now, thirdly, you built all these bus terminals. Someone just crashed from rainfall that was built at approximately 30 or 31 billion. Where are the buses? Do you understand?
Have you asked?
Whom am I to ask?
I mean, as FCT minister, FCT senator.
Unless I come, I'm the FCT senator.
Yes.
Unless I come now and I've read out all these questions to you.
You don't get any information.
Of course not. I've stopped writing him. I've never gotten a response to any
Senator Kingibe, if you can't get information from the FCT minister, can you not get it from the FCTA?
And then do what with it? See, let me also tell you, you all do not understand the imperial nature of the minister. An FCTA that you owe salaries for 5 months, please tell me how much loyalty or what they can tell you to do. Or you have 1 or 2 people who will, but the bulk of them will be resentful. Now, the people who clear solid waste, which was some of the things I brought up in that motion, as you saw, had not been paid for 9 months. It's not my imagination that when you drive through FCT, you see mounds and mounds of waste. Those are facts. Now it's raining heavily. Guess what's happening to the waste? They all run into the drains and everywhere else. If you go to Wuse, which I took a drive all over the place, the whole place smells of sewage. That's Wuse we're talking about. I'm not talking of one far place. So at the end of the day, if you are a resident of, say, Zone 6 or even the Wuse 2, why would road network impress you when you are barely getting by in your neighborhood? Go on, tell me. Do you see my point? And that is the truth of the matter. I mentioned that when the thugs hit my head on the wall, I went to Wuse General Hospital because I wanted a feel Instead of going to my usual places like Cedar Crest or wherever I go to, I thought, let's go there and see what all the complaint is about. And I went. Yeah, we had the best doctors. But guess what? We didn't even have x-ray. I saw this big x-ray machine. I said, oh, your x-ray machine isn't working. They said, well, madam, there's nothing wrong with it, but the digitizer is spoiled. I went, came back to my office. I told them to Google how much a digitizer costs. It's a fraction of the whole x-ray, but it's like the brain of it. It can't work without it. This is one hospital. I get complaints from all of them. Now, imagine you are me. You were elected, and for the record, he says I'm disloyal. I don't owe him any loyalty. I owe loyalty to the Federal Republic of Nigeria and my constituents. If you are me, with everybody complaining, Senator this, Senator that, we see those roads, but the truth of the matter is, every single minister, that's the primary purpose of the Minister of FCT, was to build FCT. That's where they started off. I believe we have outgrown ministers. We now need accountable mayors. But that's their primary function, was infrastructure. So the truth of the matter is, every minister who comes builds some infrastructure, some more than others. So we expect them to build the roads. But the ministers that have been, praised, didn't just build roads. They realized that this place is not just an empty place, the way it used to be. It's a place populated with going up to 5 million people possibly. Do you understand? The fastest growing city in Africa. So people actually live here.
You know, I think the sad part is that this fastest growing city in Africa still has cows roaming the streets.
That's
and then you hear the FCT ministers say it's a national security issue. Do you buy into that?
No. If I were, it's unlikely that I want to go from being senator to being minister, but if I were minister, a particular minister way back had created a grazing reserve in a place called Paikon Quarry. So there's a plan for everything. Basically, what ministers need to do now, every minister should just come and implement the plan, not put his own. That Paikon Quarry is a grazing reserve with nothing on it. You grow grass. I think there's some kind of dairy company that's probably taken itself there, but I don't think it can be really productive, because where is it going to get the milk from? I don't know where it gets the milk from, but that grazing reserve, if it exists, why would I, as a shepherd why would I want to graze on highways and where there's no grass, if I can go and graze where there's plenty of grass? I still own the cows. Do you understand?
So what is wrong? If the minister says it's national security, you say it's not because there's a grazing area for it. What exactly do you think the problem is?
Meaning that if the place was already carved out, so grow the grass and then tell them that there's grass there and see if they don't go. I'm not asking them to take guns and chase them off the road. Just tell them where to go. Half of the problem, you see them everywhere trying to look for a little bit of grass to feed the cows. That's half the problem.
I feel there's a political undertone to it.
Political undertone?
So why it's difficult to ask the herders to get off the road?
If you tell them to get off the road, tell them to go where? I have had herders before I became senator telling me that that's one of the things I should ensure happens when I become a senator, is that there's a place
to graze.
Do you understand? So those are the things. Since a minister that's not elected, when a senator is going around trying to get elected, Terry will tell me what his needs are, you tell me what yours are. We put them all together and then say, here, these are the things that need to be done. Do you understand? The former ministers, they had senators and House of Rep members that didn't necessarily come from their party, and some of them didn't even like each other, but they worked together in the interest of governance. And I have a file this thick. It says FCT minister on it, and everything that is brought to me that can only be done by him, I put it in there. Let's
bring the president into this picture now, because it would seem as though the president is not really paying as much attention and allowing the FCT minister to do what he wants. It does look like it's paying off, because I mean 30 days of straight commissioning of projects looks like looks good for the administration. But if you had a moment with the president, what would you say to the benefit of the FCT residents?
Well, I was asked this question a little while ago, perhaps a month. I was on a program, radio, and I told them I would tell the president environment and ecology is a priority in the FCT. Then social services is also critical. I've said this at every forum I've been on. So at the end of the day, yes, FCT is one place among many that the president has to. Yeah, we see the projects. Some of them are duplicated. For instance, when I went on the inaugural train ride, I remember that I had gone on an inaugural train ride in the previous ministers. And maybe I'll go on an inaugural train ride for the next minister, possibly. So, yes, they're meant to do those infrastructure. And I'm sure that a list of infrastructure may look good on paper, but at the end of the day, you need a pleased and happy, people. It doesn't benefit anybody to have statistics of I built so roads and all the people around you are all resentful and angry. There must be a problem.
I want to bring our attention to something, and that has to do with the cost of transportation. You had talked about the absence of buses at the bus terminals that were built. But there's also the issue with transportation to and through the airport, with the airport authority insisting on the ban on e-cabs. What do you think about that, and what do you propose?
Well, I have there are about 8,000 Uber, Bolt, and N-Drive drivers in the FCT. They'd reached out to me. They were going to protest and carry on, and I told them no, this thing can be resolved amicably. And they sent me a petition and a complaint, and they expressed to me that and I sent all of this to the minister, who forwarded them to FAN MD. I've written to the minister, to the MD of FAN myself, tabling these things and telling her that this banning Bolt, Uber, and N-Drive from the airport creates great hardship for the people of the FCT. They have some kind of an app, I think it's a FAN app, which is fine. They claim, that is because FAN, when I wrote to her, they brought out a press release saying they are not trying to subsume these 3 apps under theirs. Fine, if you're not. The drivers responded, because I sent the response to them, saying that, look, for every first of all, we pay every car to be registered and allowed to come into the airport. They pay 30,500 for a period of time. They also, for every passenger they carry, every time they come into the airport, they pay FAN 500 naira, and they pay them an additional 2,000 naira for every passenger they carry. So that, for each trip, the 2,000 naira, they showed me all the receipts, and all that goes to FAN. So FAN generates a lot of revenue from them. But the drivers also have to be checked out properly by Bolt, Uber, and everything. And they also do their own registration when you go to register. So I really do not understand what the problem is, except a monopoly being nurtured. And in the letter I wrote, I told her that the president and the renewed hope believes in the free economy market. So let the people have a choice whether I want to, if I go to the airport, I can decide I want to use a Rolls. If I find Rolls drivers there, I can decide that they are also Camry drivers. That's where my pocket goes to. So these are some of the issues.
And basically, the e-cabs are cheaper.
Yes, because people, I sent you some of the complaints on the social media.
Yes.
I've also had some of my people, when they travel, come back and tell me their experiences of having to pay 40K. They are not even coming to my Tama. So who can afford that in these times? And then the people thinking that, okay, fine, they don't want Uber or Bolt inside the airport. They drag their cases from the terminals all the way to the gates and outside. And the task force follows them outside to stop. I think that's also pushing it. What anybody does on the streets outside the gates of the airport should not be the business of FAN.
Comes up as extortion, forcing people to pay money beyond what they can afford.
Exactly. And my appeal to the president on that, and to any policy maker, is that if you have already put in major policies that make life difficult for Nigerians, but you feel will pay off for the nation economically in the long run, please have empathy for the difficulties that Nigerians are going through.
Senator Kingibe, I'd like to get your thoughts on the remodeled City Gate. What do you think? I see a lot of people there. Seems like a good
place to go and hang out with your idol, which we have a lot of idle young people, so no problem.
Is that a plus?
Now, I would like to know, basically, how much did that cost? We never get the meat of, for instance, I have never seen the budget performance of FCT. And yet, all agencies and ministries, before they get the new budget, come and give us a budget performance of the previous year. So I want to know really how much the City Gate cost. And I would have preferred drugs in the hospital. There was nothing fundamentally wrong with the City Gate. It's nice, but it's not vital or critical compared to medicines and equipment in hospitals. So
in order of priority, it doesn't rank high up there?
Not for me. Oh, I'm sure lots of FCT people.
Would you be surprised if tomorrow we're made to pay a gate pass before we access it?
It would be in the order of things.
The revenue for the FCT, I believe.
It would be the way things have been going. And you know, like I saw this comparison of all the previous administration. One administration gave out 3,000 and something C of O's, and another one 5,000, and Wike thinks that 27,000 is, of course, FCT people just thought, why not? You've taken all the land. Of course there must be C of O's to go with all that land. So I'm sorry.
But where do you stand on this argument of his that the people of the FCT have for several years defaulted in certain payments and building approvals? Does it not suggest that the people of FCT have been living, taking the food off the government or defrauding the government?
No, I wrote to him on that. What did he call it? Not tenement rates, ground rents.
Ground rent, yes.
I told him, I said, in the past, they got paid because those days they dropped the bill for the ground rent on the building. So who pays it is not your business, whether it's the tenant or the owner of the building, as long as he got paid. Okay, we are more in a digital age. And I also told him that there are better ways of sending bills. I wanted him to follow global best practices, telling everybody to bring your C of O and go to some place so that they can cite your C of O before you pay. It doesn't make sense. It creates undue hardship for everybody. Assuming that I own a building here, I live in Lagos, my C of O is with me in Lagos, so because ground rent needs to be paid, every year I come here to come and present it doesn't make sense. Yes, people will pay if you make it easy for them to pay. That's the truth for most things.
Yeah. Senator Kingibe, politics has started. Campaigns are in full swing right now. And we understand that you want to give this another shot. And it's for someone like me who I think the last time I spoke with you, you said you're not entirely sure. What has changed your mind?
I must say, I have come under undue pressure by the people. And Minister Wike has not helped also by saying he will not allow me. So when I tell everybody, I want to go and play with my grandchildren, they go, are you serious? Of course not. That, you see, I keep saying that the more Wike acts like his God, the more he unites FCT people. Since I know all the different complaints, they come to me, not to him. Or even the House of Rep members, they would all tell you.
Yeah, but you know, this is also something that we could question, because we saw the local council elections and how the people he supported won all the seats.
Excuse me. To begin with, please go and look at the election results for previous local council elections. Most people don't come out. And then add that to 22-hour curfew and policemen all over the streets, nobody will come out. But that is different. National elections now, pick any random local government elections in the past and a general election and see what happens. You see this, my polling unit, when I was FCT leader, so it meant that I was on the streets actively. I had, now there are 2,000, so maybe like 4,000 people registered there. I would be hard pressed to get 35 people to vote. This is when there are no impediments. Then you now put all these, ADC was new. It had just been created, the coalition, before they brought our candidates. So, well, we didn't have very strong candidates. But what the votes did they say they got? Not much.
Are you a strong candidate for the ADC now?
Well, the elections will tell. I know.
Yes. But you know the thing is that...
Shall I also tell you what the truth is on the ground? You can go and find out.
All right.
Truthfully, had APC, because in FCT, we're not very party focused. We're people focused because we all know each other. Had APC brought out a credible candidate, I assure you, nobody would have, even if the people told me, oh, madam, we don't allow you to go, I'll say, but you know that I was always going to go.
Are you referring to Senator Aduda?
You called his name.
He's the candidate for the
Good.
APC.
Now, one thing I can tell you, I can't tell you the winner. I can tell you who definitely the people do not want.
Why do you think the people don't want Senator Aduda?
Excuse me, if I'm a three-term senator and the people, my immediate neighbors, I lose my polling units, as well as my ward, please, I'm sorry, the people have sent me a message.
But do you not think that the people would realign, considering these developmental efforts of the FCT minister, to whom he's now attached himself, and the FCT minister on several occasions has described him as a man of the people. And interestingly, when he goes for these inspections, Senator Aduda is there. He is sort of a liaison between the minister, who may not know the FCT, and the FCT people. Now he's in the ruling party as well.
Good, exactly. Also, even write it down that I said, I don't know who's going to win, only God does. Even Senator Aduda's tribe will not vote for Senator Aduda. Because, I'm sorry, if you've been in the National Assembly for 20 years and you're defeated, it would make sense to, if pressure is not put, I told you that I was looking for younger people to take over from me.
Well, you know the narrative in the public space is that you won that election on the back of Peter Obi.
Well, if I did, everybody who campaigned knows that when we go to campaign, as all FCT people will tell you, Peter Obi brought the Igbo votes, I brought the Hausa Muslim votes and the Yoruba votes, and we merged them and we had a tsunami. There was a day I wanted to go and campaign with some Hausa. I called a Hausa chief and said, oh, when can I come? And he said, why are you bothering? We already know you've been in this territory for so long and you've already won the elections. And I said, how do you know I won the elections? He said, because we're combining our votes with the Igbo votes and the Yoruba votes. The elections are over. And that is the reality.
Let me tell you what the FCT minister said. He was at, I think, Zaudna community for a road inspection. Mm-hmm. And then he said to the residents that you people know that you hardly see Senator Kingibe. Mm-hmm. And then he asked the people if you've ever visited their community to ask for their problems. Mm-hmm. On national TV, they resounded no. Mm-hmm. How does that make you feel?
Well, I don't go all over the FCT because, for one thing, in the past, a lot of the things that I go lobbying for, that most senators do not have to go to lobby for it because they give it to the minister to do. Mm. Okay? So yes, I may not have been roaming, and I told the people, yes, I go to places when it's necessary, but I don't go around from place to place to place to place. That is true. But by the same token, a lot of the places that have not seen me have felt me. Mm-hmm. They would either have water that they've not had for 18 years, some will have solar lights, boreholes repaired, all the things that the previous senator never did. And when I call groups together, I ask them, I said, if you would rather I spend all my time going from village to village to say hello to you, rather than bring these things to you, that is also an option. And they told me, no, it's okay. We know you are there.
Would you say you covered all the communities in the FCT during your time?
In terms of what? Projects?
Yeah.
Oh, I can't cover them. I don't have that budget. I cover the critical ones. For instance, you write to me, like Peggy, 1,000 units. They have been there for 18 years, no water. I put a 20,000 liter water tank there. There's a place, Orozo, it's called Maitama, inside Orozo. 14 years, no water. I put another one there, starting from, what do you call it, Gau Igushere. The last senator to visit them was Senator Hirat Gwadabe before I went there. Yes, I go to the places that need to go, but general places, especially if every day you are writing me, I want a transformer, I want this, and I send it to you. You don't need to see me. There are 5 million people. When there's a fire or an issue, recently there was a fire in Gwagwalada and Angwandodo, I sent relief materials to them. I do what needs to be done. I represent them.
Yeah, distinguished. You know, one of the things that was said about Senator Aduda was that his project cannot be tracked. I don't know if...
Because they're none.
They're non-existent?
You can track mine.
How can yours be tracked?
Oh, they exist. So once I give you a list, it's like you tell me there's a borehole on Hilton Junction. You go and look on Hilton Junction if the borehole is there. Do you understand? And I say, here are my projects. So you go to these places and see whether those things I said, I put, whether they're there. I said, in the high rises in Wuse, I put solar lights. Go there. The youths came to give me an award to thank me. I put solar lights in Karu Market and several estates there. Track it. So basically, I explained to everybody in the FCT that my style of governance is different. I do not believe that governance should be about roaming from place to place, giving you 2K that does not benefit you, which used to be the trend. When I became a senator, I was offered the option of monetizing my projects, and I said, no, whatever projects I have put in the budget must go as a project to the people. Now, that, and I explained to them, I said, all 5 million of you tried to call me is counterproductive. I cannot answer all your WhatsApp messages or your calls. Write to me. And I can proudly say, and anybody who can contradict me should do so, especially in the last 2 years, that no letter that comes to my office does not get a response. Even if you're asking me for 130 million to start your business, I will respond to you. I do not ignore any of your letters. And they have started to see that that is how I operate. When there are jobs you've applied, you bring them. I take them according to how you brought them. I don't need to know you. So that governance of my brother, my sister, my friend. I don't do it. I don't believe in it. And when you condemn things, then you have to lead by how you feel is right, not the way you condemned.
I'm curious. You had mentioned the letter you wrote to, I think, the FCT Minister of State, if I recall correctly, or be the FCT Minister.
No, I don't. I haven't written to the Minister of State. I write to the Minister himself.
Have you not thought of writing to the FCT Minister of State since you're unable to reach the Minister himself?
I have spoken to her.
Okay.
And she told me that there was nothing she could do. He's completely in charge of everything. I took something because in the past, there's certain areas that are the specific purview of the Minister of State. So I decided, okay, forget him. Go talk to her about the things that she has, like like agriculture, this, that. I was telling her there's an abandoned fish pond that you can be used for fingerlings, and there's the Python quarry that I talked to you about, the grazing reserve, this, that. She said to me, my sister, I'm sorry. On paper, yes, but he's completely in charge. So after that, I decided to let her be and write to the minister, the substantive.
So basically, what she said to you is that the FCT minister does not allow her carry out her responsibilities.
She did not say so. I've told you exactly what she said to me. And she did not tell me that. She just said, I told her, you could do this place, I will show you, you can revive this, you can do that. He told me, I can't do anything.
Are you prepared for campaign?
Yes, I am prepared for campaign, but I also believe that when you are incumbent in any way, your record and who you have been in the time you have served should be your campaign. What am I supposed to go and say? I will do this, I will do that. So what have you done in the interim? That should be the campaign, primarily. Of course, I'm going to start a ward tour, see my people, talk to them. But I must tell you that the response I have gotten from FCT, I'd already made up my mind that nothing was going to convince me. I want to play with my grandchildren. But the response I got from the people about not running again made me rethink.
And wanting to prove to the minister that he can't shut you down. No.
They want to prove to the minister.
Well, the FCT residents want to prove to the minister.
I don't care.
Okay.
At 72 years old, what do you think I want to prove? Nothing. But the residents feel that him saying he determines who wins insults them, which in fact it does.
Do you think you're in a more popular or less popular party than you were in 2023?
As I told you, the party isn't really critical. One of the things that I felt sold me to the people who I brought to the table was the fact that they've known me for so long. My politics, even before I became senator, I was always involved.
Yeah, but
if people want boreholes, I would march up to whoever is minister and tell him, oh, I'm not impressed with your Salini pipes. It only serves the elites.
But we can't rule away numbers. Politics is a game of numbers. Now, in 2023, you had the Labour Party. That Labour Party has now been divided or separated into Labour Party, NDC, and ADC. So, to a great extent,
I can also tell you without without lying, that to a large extent, when it gets closer, the people decide that, yes, they're all opposition. Who do we prefer? I have done it, even when I was APC leader. If the APC brings out a candidate for the FCT, that's less. Senator Aduda can vouch. I've always said, oh no, he lacks intellectual content, he does this. They got together, asked me, they said, okay, leader, you say Senator Aduda lacks this. Is the candidate you brought out from your party better? I said, no, we'll manage him. And we all go and work and support him, and he knows it.
Considering the developmental projects in this administration, do you think that the people of the FCT will this one time give President Bola Tinubu the votes? Because the minister has said it's his job to win the FCT for the president.
Well, he will have to tell us how he plans on doing that in spite of the people. And I would have thought, if it's not a certain amount of arrogance, if, let's put it this way, had I been thoroughly trounced in the last election, it would not make sense for any party that is looking for the favor of the people to say, okay, forget it, though you rejected her, but we're still going to insist you must have her. And then secondly, remember that Senator Duda has always been PDP. The people who built APC, don't they count? They're all sitting there. They've done that to us many times. And everybody...
I mean, they were there when the minister took over and made sure that, the PDP people stepped down and all that politics.
What is make sure?
But that
let me tell you, I've been in this politics for a long time. And the times, even in the APC, that when I was in, when that was done to us, okay, you go fish somebody from somewhere else, it's like, how do I put it? I've been fighting against somebody outside from getting inside our house. Then when we finally push the person away and we own the house, you get up, you bring the person in, and you tell us, the owners of the house, serve him. At that time, the former vice president under Buhari, he called me. He said to me, I know you're all upset, blah, 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 but you're not going to cut off your nose to spite your face. I said, Your Excellency, my brother, as politicians, we do that all the time. We do. Because basically, it makes nonsense of you as a politician if that is done to you and you go and support the person to win. Then there's no reason why that should not be the modus operandi. That's what deters most people from doing it.
But have you made up your mind now on whom you will vote for in the presidential election?
But of course,
Who?
I've always voted my party.
So not Peter Obi this time.
How do you know until I get to the ballot?
But he's not in your party.
I don't do anti-party. I always work for my
So
party.
you will work for Atiku Abubakar instead?
Yeah, we're on the same ballot. It doesn't make sense not to. Of course I will work for him.
Some would see it as betrayal regardless, because some say that your political career was given a big piggyback ride by Peter Obi.
I have a lot of respect for Peter Obi. I hold him in high esteem. I personally did not think that NDC was the solution for him or us, and that's why I did not move with him. I stayed. We cannot go the way I saw it. We built this house with great pain and great expense. And then suddenly you just say, abandon the house, let's go somewhere else. We can't be nomads. So a lot of us, in spite of our respect for him, decided to stay here because we followed him here to ADC. We left Labour Party with him and we came to ADC with him. And then last minute, and also in the FCT didn't work for us. The lady they gave the ticket to in NDC we were in Labour Party together. We were in separate factions. She was in Abure faction. I was in Obi faction, and we were at loggerheads there. She followed me to ADC later, and we started again. We succeeded in chasing her out. She went and set up her structures in NDC long before Peter Obi or anybody got there. In my opinion, it would be unfair on her and bad politics and bad faith to now follow her there after we chased her from ADC and she left it for us. Then we now go and follow her there. It doesn't work like that. Even in politics, there should be a certain amount of integrity. And I explained all that to him, and I did not go. And I also
you explained that to Peter Obi?
Oh yeah, I wasn't even, the consultation and time period was very short. And I explained that to him and then I did consultations. I do what my people want.
Absolutely.
We set up a massive structure, and I consulted the people of FCT, and they said, no, we stay here. We spent so much time building the structures.
Yes.
We did the same thing in Labour Party. Minimal structures, we built it. ADC, the same thing. Minimal structures, we built it. Now, after building it up, NDC is struggling to have the kind of structures that ADC has. And I knew it would, at least in the FCT. I can't speak for other places. So it did not make sense. And I have a lot of respect for Madame Pam, the lady there. We sometimes disagree. Our politics sometimes do not align. But I must say, she worked and we aligned when we were Labour Party. And you never know what the future holds. A time might come when she might decide that this isn't working out, let's all follow her, or whatever way. So FCT is that way. Okay. And I think that with that we have to respect the fact that she left us and went and picked an empty party.
But for the presidential candidate, as far as you're concerned, it's party loyalty over anything else.
Yeah.
So you also say, as far as party loyalty is concerned, that
it's not party loyalty.
As far as competence, just 1 second, competence.
There are many other reasons why I feel.
You think that your party's candidate, Atiku Abubakar, is the most competent of all the presidential candidates?
Not necessarily, but you see, if I'm to be very honest with you, right now, he can mobilize the most votes. If we're trying to chase somebody, as I said, who's attacking us at the door, it makes sense that every one of us in this house should join forces and go and chase the person out, not leave him.
And put just anybody or somebody who is more competent?
Well, the way things have panned out, we've divided ourselves into regional parties or regional candidates or whatever. And if that's the case, the person with the highest region is Vice President Atiku Abubakar. And I, truthfully, people in NDC, a lot of them can, and I saw that when we all tried, most senators tried to discourage Peter Obi from leaving, is that if you fragment it, what would you get? The bulk of the votes in the southeast, and a few here and there, maybe some in the middle belt, but not enough to take the other two out.
Yeah, distinguished. I understand what you're saying as far as numbers is concerned, but I'm more concerned about, because we're talking about issue-based campaigns here.
Fine. Also,
Nigerians want a competent leader, not just anyone who kicks out.
Nigerians want a competent leader. Nigerians, I see it as step. Atiku Abubakar may have his shortcomings, but he's not going to make a terrible president. At least, that's what I believe. He may not be the best, but nothing says that any one of the three are actually the best. As I told people, we will evolve to the best, but we have to start the process. If this is not, I feel that President Bola Tinubu's administration, his policies are good. Implementation is terrible. He's not controlling corruption. A lot of things are wrong. And it's not, I don't lay it all on him. For instance, MD Fan, is he going to tell her that, oh, be gentle on the people, let all the apps work because they can get cheaper ones? Those that, when I'm in London, when you want to call an expensive car, you want a cheaper ride, you call Uber, you call anybody. That's how it should be. People should be given choices to their pockets. And these 8,000 people, when you drive them out on the street, they're graduates. They're all going to become armed robbers and turn to crime. The insecurity increases. So it becomes a cycle that feeds itself. So as a people, you give me orange, banana, and apple. I decide that, okay, I'm allergic to orange. Let's go to and we go on and on, but actually maybe I'm looking for a peach, except it's not on the table. We need to evolve, and Nigerians themselves need to take responsibilities for their choices. There's no point in registering to vote and not coming out to vote.
So the thing is, one of the issues that's generated recent controversy is that Alhaji Atiku Abubakar wants to reverse fuel subsidy. I recall speaking with you.
He will look at it, I'm sure.
No, you know why I brought that up? I recall speaking with you, and you believed at the time that it was one of the good policies of this administration. As you said, as you also just said, the implementation is a little shaky.
Okay. Now, shall I draw your attention to something I read the other day? in Buhari's 8 years, we paid 11 trillion for fuel subsidy. There's something called Energy Guarantee Fund, which, what does it mean? Has already spent in 2 years 11.9 trillion. What's that? Fuel subsidy under another name. So at the end of the day, yes, the president has good ideas, but all these things are not, there's so much lack of transparency in implementation of a lot of things. What's the difference between energy guarantee?
But would you support him removing fuel subsidy?
If he's
reversing
the
ban?
And excuse me,
yes.
When we were paying for subsidy at 11 trillion, we were buying fuel at 187 or something like that. We are paying energy, it's costing the nation 11.9 trillion in 2 years. And we are buying fuel at 1,300. As, yes, he would have said so. But when time comes, he will look at it critically. If you're removing fuel subsidy, you are replacing them with public transport, subsidized. I read somewhere where you could subsidize transportation, even if it's just the only thing you do till the economy stabilizes. There are ways to do these things. But so just fuel subsidy removal, if it was actually completely removed, that 11.9 trillion will go for something else.
Absolutely.
Right now, we're operating 2024 budget, 2025, 2026. So what budget, since we became senators, has been fully implemented? You tell me. I don't criticize for criticism's sake. I have people. I'm close to the grassroots, believe it or not. My constituencies moan and groan. Hunger is what is the deciding factor in everything now.
Senator Ireti Kingibe, it's always a pleasure speaking with you. And now that campaigns have commenced, we're trying to see, we're looking forward to you, being out there.
I will be out there, but not necessarily in the manner
exactly,
you think.
because you always talk about how old you are.
But was I not out there before? Yeah. But right now, it would be ridiculous if I have to campaign the exact same way I did before I was a senator.
Because you have a record now.
I have a record now. I have groups of people who are campaigning for me word by word. Since you believe, I tell the people, excuse me, that you want me to be senator. So you campaign. What votes are you going to bring to the table? And at the end of the day, there are many factors in this election that we may need to talk about another day. It's like the people believe, and even when I tell you that the Gwaris may more than likely not vote for Senator Aduda, okay? Because at the end of the day, Senator Aduda wants to be the only person, indigenous person, that's standing in the FCT. Another thing somebody drew my attention to, indigenous people, he told me, he said, Madam, in the last 12 years of Senator Aduda, all the different indigenous tribes were fighting each other. In your time as senator, we have not fought each other at all. There's peace. I said, because I'm too busy to try to be knocking the heads together so that nobody else will emerge. There's no success if you do not have successors.
Right. Senator Ireti Kingibe, thank you very much as always for coming to speak with me on Political Paradigm.
Thank you for having me.
Well, that's my conversation with the senator representing the FCT, Senator Ireti Kingibe. The full interview is about 17 minutes long, so go ahead to YouTube and catch every bit of it. If you'd like to send feedback, please do so using the email politicalparadigm@channelstelevision.com. Thanks for your time. I'm Terry Ikumi. Goodbye.